Where do you see the brand growing over the next 5 to 10 years? Now, you're in the three states of Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. Do you guys plan on growing out throughout the Southeast and taking over the world? What's on docket for you guys?
Well, we'll take over the world one corned beef hash at a time. The world wants corned beef hash. I mean, I'm the luckiest guy in the world, Frank. Robert is not looking to exit. He's not looking. Of all the concepts he owns, he's emotionally attached to one, and it's mine.
Interesting.
Uh,
Interesting.
he really enjoys being the famous toastery guy, and I enjoy doing that with him. So the mandate I have is not for growth, which is weird in a capitalistic society because we're all capitalists, around here. If we wanted volunteer work, we probably would have done something else. I mean,
True.
we're here to make a few bucks at it, but it's about
Absolutely.
the right size growth, and I think that's his lesson from his 2019 shutdown was like, hey, if we can't do it right, we're not doing it. Yeah, we could probably do another 50 in North Carolina alone. And that would be really easy for us, but it's got to be with the right people. We're headed to Jacksonville, Florida. We have a multi-unit deal there. We're headed to San Antonio, Texas next year. We're headed to Phoenix, Arizona next year. But we had to do that with partners that we felt like could do it and weren't going to need a ton of hand-holding, that we felt like were really committed to what Famous Toastery's ethos is about. We said yes to those folks. Now, I had alluded earlier, somebody called my baby ugly. And I think you got to be prepared for that. We had a situation with some good Midwestern guys came through here, and I spent the weekend with them in Famous Toasteries and looking at competitors and everything. And they had done their homework tranching every brunch concept there was. And when I dropped them off to put them back on the plane, they said, this is the best food we've had, best support team we've been around, and you're the last one to go. So Monday morning, I was expecting to get a deal done.
Absolutely. Okay.
Right.
What happened?
They didn't like the name. They said, you know what? We're prepared to go with second best food and third best support of everybody because they had a matrix. They said we didn't feel like your brand works where we do business. We felt like it was a strange name.
It is a strange name. It is strange.
Well, it led into an awful lot of internal discussion. Right? It's like, sure, Famous Toastery sounds great to two dudes from New York who have done this, burned down a house in Huntersville, North Carolina. Maybe it's not right. And we spent my first year here saying, is it time to change the name or are we leaning into this thing? We hired some folks to tell us what they thought about it. And Robert and I got in a room because it was kind of 50-50 based on that one incident. We had existing franchisees that had leveraged everything they had into Famous Toastery. So we're going to lean into the name.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're doing. And you want to call my baby ugly for that? You think my name's funny? Okay, we're good. Now, I can tell you there's a happy footnote to that. I've heard from them since, and I think they regret the decision. But it's sure didn't get that deal done in the Midwest.
I guess these guys also would not have bought a McDonald's franchise in the 60s either.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do feel better talking to you, Frank.
Did my job there, Mike.
You did.
So, one of the questions I had kind of lined up for you, but you kind of answered it, is that, it's usually the question is about the legacy of the brand. But it sounds like for Robert, this means a whole lot more to him than just another business venture. What makes it about Famous Toastery that he's so stuck with this, that he wants this to be part of just his legacy?
Yeah, I mean, he's involved in community, particularly here in Davidson. He lives in Davidson. I don't, but I'm involved in the community here as well. I live in Denver, North Carolina, on the other side of Lake Norman. I love my community over there just as much as he loves his. But it's just a part of who it is, who we are. Our general manager has been there forever in the Davidson location. Our general manager in the Huntersville location's only been there a year and a half, but she's already family to those people. So that's kind of that connection that I don't think he's ever going to want to give up. But it's not just about he gets to walk around town in Charlotte as the Famous Toastery guy. He likes being the Famous Toastery guy when he walks out is in Wilmington or in D.C. or in Roanoke, Virginia or Myrtle Beach, right? He's just got a real connection to it, and it's a cool thing. And our franchisees, like Stacy, who I referenced earlier, is our top franchisee. Everybody in Mooresville, North Carolina knows Stacy is the Famous Toastery person, and it's a cool thing to be connected to.
Yeah. There's a little bit of celebrity to owning a local franchise when you really get customers, when you get raving fans.
Right. That's
exactly
your
business. Yeah. Mike, now that you mentioned you've got plenty of availability still in North Carolina, right, that you could open.
Yep.
You're expanding to Florida. We're expanding to Texas. Why is it such a great time right now to be a franchisee of Famous Toastery?
Yeah, I think we finally are in a place where we can support effectively and train effectively. There's not a lot of guesswork when you hit the ground.
Yeah.
Restaurants, there's not one single hard thing about it. And this goes true with any business. It's prioritizing, and we've really put together the playbook on what that is and making sure someone understands what makes the business go. Mm-hmm. We're there. We're confident that when we sign off that you're ready to go open a Famous Toastery, we're going to validate that you really are. We're going to be shoulder to shoulder with you. We haven't always done that. But that's where we are now. And the economic model works. I mean, we're in the greatest egg crisis in the history of the world, and we haven't had to take price. We've built a model where we can absorb those kind of things without impacting our guest experience, and that's really the lifeblood of it. We know, there's a national brand that's taking a surcharge on eggs, right now. Mm-hmm. We gave that option to franchisees. We said we're not doing it at the corporate level, and we do have a threshold in our economic model that we'll get serious about having that discussion, but we weren't near that. So it's not, you don't want to have a brand that has to do things that cause permanent damage over a short-term situation, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to be really mindful in making those decisions based on what's happening right now in the news that could change. Yeah. Because now you have to go back and change it again or not, and then it looks bad.
Yeah. We're really conscious of price elasticity, and that's a fancy way of saying value is not what you pay, but what you get. And True. We have to be able to be a value player because I'm not going to discount this. Everybody works too hard for it, so we're not going to buy our comps that way.
Right. Mike, if someone was interested in learning more about owning and opening a Famous Toastery, where would they go?
Just to the website, famoustoastery.com. A lot of words to type, but jump in that system at some point in time. If they're real serious, I'll be talking to them at some point, but we have a couple of people. We're not here to sell restaurants. We're here looking for these kind of partners that it makes sense for everybody.
Fantastic. All right, I got one last question for you. I end every podcast with, I call the franchise tip jar because the franchise community is so generous with sharing and giving information and advice. So I'd love to ask you this, since you've been a franchisee and a franchisor, what do you think is maybe one of the most, underrated skills that a franchisor needs to have?
Well, empathy, right? Because I think after the time everybody goes through an FDD and then a franchise agreement and all of that, all franchise agreements are notoriously one-sided. They have to be.
Right.
And I think it's okay to say, what are we really solving for here, right? There may be some type of extenuating circumstance. And there are places that are not malleable. I get that. That's not the point. The point is that a really good franchisor for me, and the experiences I had my first go around, I remember the amount of empathy that the owners at Boston Pizza had for their franchisees. Any business relationship is not about who you want to do dollars and cents with, in my opinion. It's who do you want to do life with? Mm-hmm. And you want to be the type of people that people over time are going to be really glad they knew you. And that's our mission here, is we want to be around like-minded people that we want to do life with.
That's great advice. And Mike, you're so likable. Why would somebody not want to do business with you? You seem like so much fun. It would be a lot of fun to be a franchisee in your system too.
I'll let you have a follow-up with my kid brother. He'll tell you.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thanks so much for being on the show. I appreciate it, and I wish you guys all the continued success with Famous Toastery.
Oh, Frank, thanks for being a great interview. That was a lot of fun. Take care, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.